Hey guys, welcome back. This is our second recording of Two Agents, One Pod. I'm Jessica.
Whoop! Real Estate J coming at you.
Real Estate Jay and Jess. I'm in Austin and Jay is in,
SD baby.
what's it called? Dago.
San Diego.
Okay, so we were, even before we started recording, we started talking about the interest rates, right? You said that that's old news, and it is old news because we knew that we were already getting into the 8%. But, what do you think about the 8%? Do you think it's going to keep going higher? You think it's like stagnation? What's up?
I don't know. I don't know if they're going to continue to go up. If they do, it's going to suck for a lot of people, and it's already pinching a lot of people out of the market already. A lot of the first-time home buyers were looking to put down 3 to 5%. It's really tough for them to be able to flip that bill every month when the interest rates are at 8% nowadays. To be able to get in with like the bare minimum is really tough. A lot of the buyers that are out there right now are very well qualified. They have lots of money and family that are backing them with hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not even 50,000 or 75,000. The last deal that I had, there was 4 other offers that we were competing with, and all of us were putting at least 40% down, and they had $1 million in reserves to be able to cover anything else. So the buyers that are out there right now are super strong, and with the interest rates being the way they are, it really kind of squeezes out those first time home buyers and those people that are just trying to get in with as little skin in the game as possible. So it's a tough market right now for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough market for people that are trying to buy, trying to sell, and people that are working the market like us. But before we started recording, I was just saying that in the last 2 to 3 years, I mean, this is probably, I only started real estate about 3-4 years ago, so I'm still relatively new, and I didn't see the market beforehand. I didn't really care about the real estate market before. But I think when the media tries to tell you so much of like, oh my God, interest rates, like you guys need to buy now, or you guys are like, the whole fear mongering thing is pretty intense. I think that has gotten into a ripple effect into your average consumer. Like that's all people can talk about, instead of, oh, like, yes, interest rates are high, but if you can afford it and you have money in your account and you want to build up equity, it still is a good time.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're the type of home buyer that is looking to just to buy and try to sell in the next few years, like this is probably not the market you want to be in. Real estate's always been a long play, and even so now, because the interest rates are so high, you're not going to see that return, for a number of years. I mean, we're talking maybe 15, 20 years down the line where it's starting to make sense. So the whole, you know, find and flip and frogging from house to house until you get your dream house is that dream is kind of gone at the wayside. Just got to really hold on to this for the long haul and for it to financially make sense for a lot of people. So
No, that's a good point, because everybody's always like, yeah, it's not real estate, it's stocks or crypto, right? They're like, oh, if I invest in this in a year or in 3 months, I can sell it and I can make a huge profit, right? And these last 2 years, it just shows, yeah, people did that, but that was kind of a black swan event. Like you can't
well, the
get.
thing is that so everybody was staying at home and they're like, what am I gonna do? And they started getting these stimmy checks. And they're like, oh wow, I got an extra $1,000. What should I do with this $1,000? Well, I can't go out and spend it in the bar because I'm stuck at home. So everybody started going online and became overnight traders, downloaded Robinhood app and started like thinking that they could make some money, which for some people they probably did because the market was so volatile back then. And, that's just how things were. But for those who stayed in it, they probably lost their butts because they didn't know when to exit the market, and that window's gone and passed. So, it's funny to see a lot of these things online and the TikToks of people like saying that they made millions off of sort of thing. When you like you said, it's kind of a black swan event. Like we're not going to see gains like that quickly in
No.
that short amount of time, like probably ever until
Mhm.
they make up another pandemic or something. But one of those weird things.
Yeah, when people talk about getting rich in real estate or getting rich in stocks, crypto, and now people are getting rich with doing Airbnb arbitrage. Which is, I have friends that have made money, but at the same time, I think people really discount the amount of work and hours that they put in to
Mm-hmm.
get the reviews and like get the next customers, and like there's a system, right? People are just, I don't know, they have back to reality.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the grind now is saving money and making moves slowly in for the long haul. So
Do you think we're in a
yeah.
recession?
Do I think we're in a recession? I don't think we are quite yet. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a lot of things that are pointing that direction, but 2 months of like negative GDP, like we passed that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But what they say the standard is of just 2 months of negative GDP, then like we've been in that issue for a while. So what do you think? Do you think that we're in a recession?
I think I was even talking about a recession about a year ago, but it takes time for a lot of this stuff to come to the surface, like interest rates that are high, but only now in the past couple months are we really seeing like freaking inflation in your groceries. Like our 2 bags of groceries is now $100, $150. You're just talking about finances enough, or they're not talking about it's heard the term silent recession because everybody looks like they're doing okay. Everybody is on Facebook, everybody's on Instagram, they're still going out, they're still doing things. But I think seeing the real estate market and seeing just overall of people, I think they're still going out, but is it the
Sorry, my
financial,
phone.
I was going to say, is it really the right financial choice to be going out? I don't know.
I don't know. Those days are long gone for me. With having
You
two
have
little
a
ones
family. Yeah.
and a wifey and stuff. So going out and doing that kind of stuff that's been dead for me for a couple of years or for a few years. So
You have 2 kids and you have a wife, like a whole family.
party budget goes towards my family and groceries and paying bills and taking my boys out and all that kind of stuff. Like
Right.
buying a round of shots at the bar is, I could do a lot with that. $150 or something like that and spend it on my boys. I guess the priorities are a little bit different for me now than they were 5 years ago.
For sure. I mean, that's probably a good thing.
I probably on doing what I was doing back 5 years ago. So it's a good thing that I settled down probably.
Talking about the whole recession thing. So maybe it really just matters who you're talking to. Like, I mean, you have a family, you guys seem well off, like you're doing okay. But for the people that are barely hanging on, they're just moving out of the state or out to a different city. That's like have a more affordable life. Hence why people are
Yeah.
moving to Texas.
Yeah. To make those kinds of changes, not able to afford where you live currently. I mean, San Diego just got placed as like the most expensive city in the United States to live. So
That's insane. Do you feel
for
the effects? Like when you hear that on the title, you're like, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, San Diego's always been, the place, kind of like the place to be, the place to visit. So I feel like things were always kind of a little bit more expensive here, just overall compared to just other places that I have visited or whatever. So I think I just kind of just got accustomed to it more than anything. Of just this is
You're
just how it
traumatized.
is. Yeah. If I were to move to a different city or a different state or something that was like a lot less, and then try to move back, I'd be like, oh my gosh, it'd be like a shell shock of prices and stuff like that. But I'm now for me now it's just like just it is what it is. You're paying almost like $20 for a drink at the bar.
Wow. You're
So,
you're not phased by it by that point. That's
in the Midwest, I'm sure $20 could buy you a freaking like 4 or 5 rounds. I don't know when beers are like $3, $4.
yeah, you could. And when you talk about the culture shock, Me growing up in California, but basically, like my family moved here to the States when I was 4, but I always thought, oh yeah, gas prices are supposed to be $6, $7. And then I moved out a few years ago. Like I have $3 gas out here.
That's funny. You know what's funny is I found premium for 575 today,
Wow.
and I thought that was a good deal. So I like filled my car up. So
That kind
anything
of
under
is a good deal.
$6 in California right now is like your money, dude.
Wow.
And this was at Shell. This was some like mom and pop gas station. This is like good quality gas. So I felt like I won today when I went to the gas station and got that. So yeah, the little wins, they don't come very often out here in Cali sometimes when it comes to the like gas prices and stuff, especially.
I think California is always going to have, the most populated city, or like real estate is always going to be competitive out there, but all average priced home is going to be higher than everywhere else.
Yeah. It's going to be just higher, period. Like we're getting taxed out here more than the rest of the country, probably. New York. I don't know if New York if they're getting taxed up there. I'm sure they.
Sounds like robbery.
So I just know that California, man, we're paying for the sunshine state out here, that's for sure, and the weather and everything else. And being in San Diego, especially location and everything that we have around us, like, I'm kind of partial to San Diego. I would say LA and Orange County are probably not as nice as San Diego. So
definitely not. No, it's definitely not. I think San Diego is such a safe haven for everything. Like you have perfect weather all day, every day.
We're kind of like a little nook down here, So
you guys are in your own bubble.
we do have a nice little bubble down here. So
yeah, I don't know if I said this in the last podcast, but because in the last one I was saying that my parents were visiting, and they visited. My mom she kept saying this multiple times. She's like, "This is much better than this, better than Austin," and she kept saying that. I was like, "Of course, Mom. Like, San Diego's better than a lot of other places." And so again, it's almost like I should have shown her like a worse, like a not that great city first, and then I like moved her here. She would have like been a lot more happier and grateful. But whatever. Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so briefly touching on this whole millennial thing, or the newer generation, and how they're more about living the experience of today versus setting themselves up for the long term.
Right.
For example, with real estate or with just longer term investments. They just want to go and travel. You were saying, like, tell me about a little bit more about that side of things that you've seen with the generation, I guess, coming up.
I think my generation really, they value experiences more than owning something. And I have no idea where that comes from. I think it's just like a change of values versus like the boomers, like my parents and stuff. So many people do still care about real estate, but nowadays it's more like they have kind of like a fuck it mentality. They're like, oh, whatever. Like I have $20 in the bank account. I'll still do XYZ versus, you said setting themselves up for success. I have no idea where it comes from. I just know that it's really such a big movement. And maybe because like a lot of us are freaking depressed. We're like, oh, okay, we're already depressed. What else can get better? Like, whatever. And a huge part of it is like the financial literacy, but nobody cares enough to own anything anymore. And so, how do we set this next generation up for success? And because home prices are just getting even more expensive, anyways. And about this before with real estate, sometimes it's not just about money. If a person has enough money in the bank account, that is not enough for them to go and purchase a home. Like they have to be mentally prepared, or like they have to be mentally ready to buy a home. You've probably been in deals, and I know you're gonna talk about your crazy fallout soon.
Yeah.
But there's so many deals that you get to like the very near end, and it's like closing day, like signatures and disclosures are out, and they get cold feet. So it's not a matter of like they don't have the money to. So many people do have the money to, but getting ready for a home really is more of like a lifestyle change and like mentally ready to, pay all these bills and keep your house up for maintenance. Like a lot of people just don't want to deal with it.
Crazy. So this last deal that just fell out that I helped, the purchase price of the home was 1.175, right? The parents were going to be putting down a very big chunk of that for their son. They're buying this for their single son, and he's not married. I don't think he even has a girlfriend. He's like as a nurse here locally in San Diego.
He's making money.
And so he's solid. He has a good stream of income. His parents have saved up a lot of their money to be able to help put down like 40% on this house, and up against I think 11 other offers. And luckily for me, I knew the agent that had it listed, and I was able to get in a lot of information about the property and about the other deals that we were up against for us to be able to get our offer accepted. And we weren't the first we were actually the second in line. We actually were the backup offer because the first offer was just way more than my clients were willing to pay for the property. So, I get it. The sellers want to try to get as much money for their property as possible. Mm. And so that ended up not coming to fruition for those first buyers. So we were second in line, and we were able to get that property into escrow. Now, the crazy thing is as we were going through this process, the parents, especially the dad, was really kind of pushing back on all the things that were need to get done in the process of escrow to keep the deal moving along. And red flag for me, because the mom was on board, the son was kind of like in the background, kind of like didn't know too much about the whole real estate thing, so he was kind of leaving it up to his parents. What ended up happening is the dad got freaked out because the inspection report came back that because of the age of the house, which was a 74, the house was built in 74, and they were worried about asbestos in the attic and asbestos in the property and lead paint and stuff. And after doing the inspection and explaining to him, like, hey, as long as you don't mess with it, as long as you're not, go like airborne or anything like that, then you're going to be fine. Well, yeah, that ended up that right there single-handedly like called the deal. They called the deal off because of that. Wow. And that was way before we even were able to get like any kind of test or any kind of disclosures back from the sellers explaining any of those issues that we had in our inspection report and about the asbestos and or the lead. So later to find out after they get the cancellation the next day, the sellers explained to us like, hey, we did a complete remodel, like anything that needed to be remediated, we got that done and got permits for everything that we remodeled. And so the house was pretty much like solid, up to code for a 1985 house is when they did the remodel. So anything that had to do with any kinds of asbestos or lead or anything like that would have been like remediated or just not there. And so they ended up walking away from the property, and oh my God. The crazy thing was that I felt like on my end, I felt like I did everything as an agent like perfect. I mean, about the expectations, I through all the process, every process that was going to happen, right? As it was happening as well, and it just explained to them, things that we should anticipate. And so, sometimes even if you do everything right, sometimes that deal doesn't end up working out, and it sucks because, we work so hard to make sure that we're giving our clients the best quality service, and sometimes it's just out of our hands. And in this case, it was like the dad pretty much talked the son out of like moving forward and just determined that the house was not safe to even live in. Wow. When in all reality, it's like wasn't even that big of a deal.
So are you still working with them? Like, are you still gonna?
No, I fired them.
That's good. No, that's good.
I fired them. I didn't want to deal with them anymore because they didn't take my advice, and they weren't listening to the professional, opinion that I had about
Right.
things and experience that I have with buying and selling homes and being in this industry and in this,
Hmm.
day in and day out. Like,
You just
they
have to do that.
felt like they knew more than I did, and you know, it's one of those things where it's like you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. It was like that kind of scenario where I
Yeah.
can do everything for you guys, but you guys gotta
You guys have to
go
work
down
along
to
with me.
yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta work along with me, and you gotta drink the water, man. Like,
Yeah.
I can't force you to do it. Like, I can give you all of the things that you need to know to to make an informative decision about the property. But at the end of the day, it's if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it. So they
Yeah.
missed out on a great property. Like, you're never gonna find a property like this for the price that they were gonna pay for it in the location that they're gonna pay for it in San Diego. Like, this home had like ocean views. It was on a cliff, nobody behind you. It was in a neighborhood that only had like two streets, like propped up on a hill. Like, it was a good little. I would have lived there. It was a good property.
Yeah.
That property is easily going to be 1.2 next year in a couple months.
Easily. Easily.
Oh, and the funny part is that we got the appraisal back, and they would have came in with equity. It appraised for more than what we offered. It appraised for like 16 grand more than what we offered.
That
So
hurts. I mean, how that feels, right? Like if you've been doing this long enough, you know how that feels when you do everything right and it still walks away from you.
it's never a sure thing, It's never a sure thing. You
No.
can until you get to that end, like, confirmation of funding and recording, man, it's not over till it's over. So, you know, you don't want to be cashing the check before it even gets there.
No.
You don't want to be celebrating too quick.
No, I think all agents when they start off they have that they do that, as like a
Yeah.
newbie mistake.
It's so funny because I was talking to their lender, and their lender was like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to work with them after this deal either, because they're like unreasonable. They were
Yeah.
like unreasonable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty
Yeah.
bad, and it's unfortunate because they're the only reason why they're getting in their own way, basically,
But
of
yeah, that happens a lot.
becoming homeowners. It's
Yeah.
nothing that you and I would do, or it's they just get into their own head that they either think they know more, or they whatever, talk themselves out of it because of this, that, or the other, And it's every house is going to have some sort of something wrong with it, even if it's brand new construction. It's not going to be
Yep.
100% perfect. Even if you
Mhm.
build a house, it's not going to be 100% perfect. There's going to be some sort of something to it. So you know, you just kind of have to be flexible, and to kind of have to deal with what's out there. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. People want unicorns. People want everything perfect, and that's
yeah,
just not the reality of it. And
no.
like analysis paralysis. Analysis paralysis, that's a big thing. When you have clients or even friends or like family members that try to analyze every single thing before they, what do they call it? Like shoot their shot. I don't know the saying for it, but they're just getting in their own way, like you said. And it's sad because people are like, well, I want to become a real estate investor and I want to make my wealth with real estate. And it's like, okay, well, it is not timing in the market, but it's time in the market, right? Like you actually have to start buying real estate and just like building up a portfolio. And then you win some and then you lose some. And then if you lose some, it's just you have to take those as lessons. But
Mhm.
not starting is such the huge thing that we always see.
Yeah, each day that goes by is just another day that you lost of potentially gaining equity, or you know getting you closer to that end goal of having a big portfolio of real estate. Like,
Right.
time could be a good thing, and it could be a bad thing in real estate. So it's good when you own it, because now you're starting that clock of building that equity long term. But if you take too long to make a decision, or if you take too long to jump on a deal, then or miss a deal or something like that, then you know, who knows when
Yeah.
the next good one's going to come up. Like, and these
Yeah.
clients, I was like, I don't think there's going to be another property in that price range where you're going to be able to be in a neighborhood in a great school district, propped up on the edge of a mountain, looking west out into the ocean on clear days with good neighbors. There were so many positive things about that property, despite all the little like sections of it, which every house is going to have if it's used. That the
Right.
house was in good shape for that
Yeah.
next buyer and
Yeah.
that next owner. And the crazy thing was, is the sellers were willing to put like they already started investing money into the property after they got the inspection report because they knew that somebody else was probably going to ask for the same stuff. So they dropped like six grand into it, and they put a new water
Right.
heater in it, which is something that we weren't even asking for. And you just don't find that these days. Sometimes sellers are just
No.
like, whatever, take it or leave it, especially in San Diego because it's so
Yeah.
competitive down here and we have like nothing to sell people. Like sellers usually just like give you the middle finger and say, deal with it. Or
Hmm.
there's, like I said, 10 other offers on the table that we can go
Yeah.
back and call. So,
Yeah.
oh, well, he's going to have to just, 32 years old. He's just got to stay on his mom and dad's house and, you
Yeah.
know,
For real estate transactions to work, you have to have like both motivated sides. Like, you have to have a motivated seller and you have to have a motivated buyer, because it's like, if you, like in your case, if your seller, the other party was all motivational, they're ready, they're actually they're proactive in making the fixes, and your buyer is just kind of wasting time, even winning above other offers, it's like,
yeah.
okay, basically you wasted
I don't
everybody's
think
time.
exactly, and I don't think they understood how hard it was for us to be able to do what we did.
Hmm.
And from what they told me, they put out like 4 or 5 offers. They've been looking for like a year and a half. They put like 4 or 5 other offers and never even got accepted.
Hmm.
So for me to get them to a point to where all they had to do is release inspection, it appraised, like the loan was ready to fund.
Right.
Like all they had to do was wait another day to get the disclosures back from the seller and to look at what the seller was gonna take care of as far as repairs go. And then they would own the house right now. So
We were just talking about the unicorn buyers, unreasonable buyers, and also unmotivated sellers, and how much time that really wastes for everybody. You're muted. You're muted. Like, I can't even hear you.
check 1 2, check 1 2. Are we back in action
You're back.
here?
You're back. You were like laughing with no
We're
audio.
back. The computer died, and yeah, I had to get her back up and running. So, but yeah, we were talking about unmotivated sellers and unmotivated,
That's so
unmotivated
funny.
buyers, right? So, I mean, both parties have to work together to get to the end, to the to get to the escrow close. Like it's not just one side or the other, and take it or leave it. It's they have to work together at some point in time, and that's what we do as realtors is to help facilitate that transition between the buyer and the seller. Depending on who we're representing at the time, but we were talking about earlier. It's just we're very motivated to work with my clients to
Mhm.
get to the finish line, and I guess my buyers just ended up getting cold feet and didn't feel like the house was worth it. So it's hard to create value in the house or in the whole experience of going through this to them if they just
Mhm.
felt like it was not worth it to them. Like there's nothing that I could have said or done that would have changed their minds.
Yeah, that makes me think about the time I sold my parents' house. And was it last year? I think so. So it was last year, but I've been telling them to sell since like January, February, like the height of the market when you should be selling. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, they don't want, some people just don't want to listen to you, even though we eat, sleep, breathe real estate. And for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason, they're just like, no. That's also
I'm
another
telling you,
thing.
people think they know more than what we do. Like that was the case with my buyers. I thought they knew more about the house than I did. Know more about asbestos. He was like sending me articles off the internet on asbestos and
Oh my God.
lead, and I'm like,
I
Yeah,
mean,
that's all.
that's
That's all great and all, but at the end of the day, like I said, and like the inspector said, and like everybody else said, as long as you're not messing with it, as long as you're not eating it and breathing it in and bathing in it, like
right.
nothing's gonna happen. Like
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably grew up in a house that had it and you didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, because there are bad apples in real estate. Like I was able to meet you, like you and I clicked it off because I was in a place where I don't think I had the best people around me in real estate. And I was like, wow, like after being in it for a couple years, there's not that many great real estate agents. Like you hear from
Yeah.
other people or you like look on the internet. Like there's actually some real estate agents that don't like to work. They don't pick up their phone. They don't, it's like, even when you talk to another real estate agent, they don't do anything and it's not the work and the energy is not reciprocated. So there's definitely like a spectrum of your good agents and then your bad agents. But yeah, there is like some stigma. People think that every one of us is out to get them and rip them off. And it's like, no, not all of us want to rip you guys off. Like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to make my money and you're trying to make your money. And if you don't have a good experience, I don't get continuing business. Like, you're not going to tell your
Right.
friends
Yeah.
about me if you hate me.
Right. Yeah.
So,
There's no point in us trying to like make the housing, make the home buying process a nightmare because it's just not gonna work out for anybody's benefit. You know,
surprisingly,
buyers are
there
gonna be
are,
mad.
yeah, there are people
And
that are
like
like,
with these particular buyers, I knew that there was just nothing that would have appeased them.
yeah,
There really wasn't.
yeah,
Even if I were able to get every single thing on that inspection report checked off, they probably
yeah,
still wouldn't have even bought the property. Like
right.
it was, they were that like it was like beyond ridiculous. I've never
Yeah,
even had any buyers like this. It was that bad. Like in my whole career since I've started real estate.
right. So,
So
yeah, it's
anyway,
really, it goes back to the whole mindset thing we have. I was gonna say, like when I was trying to sell my parents' house, or I successfully did it, but it wasn't easy. It was a very nightmare transaction, just because this is like you're helping your family. There was like some childhood trauma there, and they don't want to listen. I'm telling them like you need to go change the
wait, are
floor.
you Chinese?
I am Chinese.
Oh,
Why?
that makes all the sense in the world now.
Chinese people are crazy. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Because
I
my
love.
clients that I was working with were also Chinese. So
Yeah. Very. I think the Chinese people can be very unreasonable some at times, and I say this from experience. Like my parents, they're like, so the house
is
that
that just a
we.
cultural thing or what? What's the deal with that? Like
I couldn't tell you.
why does it have to be more difficult than it needs to be? Like
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. And then it's the
It's like
whole thing of like, oh, we know more than you. Like what are you trying to do to like get something out of us or something? Or it's like
no, it's like a sense of pride, and it's a sense of like also maybe if you were Chinese, they would have trusted you a little bit more. Like
maybe.
if you
Yeah.
spoke the language, and I mean it's nothing to be personal about,
I
but
know
like,
Chinese. I'm like fluent in Chinese.
are
Let's get it
you?
up. Kung Pao chicken, bitch.
Oh my god! Hey, you have like some of those funny videos. What is your character's name?
My character? You mean my cousin?
Yeah, your cousin.
My cousin? Oh, my cousin Little Compton?
Oh
Yeah.
my
Maybe
god!
one of these days I'll have to bring him on.
I think you have to bring him on, but I don't know. Maybe if Little Compton can talk about real estate.
Oh, I'm sure he has some kind of knowledge. He's helped me a lot in my career.
Yeah, you got to bring him out sometimes.
Showing homes and, doing some of my videos for me. So he
Yeah,
knows the lingo. He knows the lingo.
that's
Yeah.
funny. Some people just don't want to listen, and like you're saying, hey, can you guys stage this, or you guys would maximize your value of the home if you change the floors or whatever it is.
Well, going back to that one client that you brought me over to for the listing over there, your
Mm,
family friend, whatever his name was, I forgot what his name was.
yeah, it was unnamed.
They didn't want to do anything. They thought that the puke yellow walls. We're gonna sell the property.
Yeah. So backstory, I had a family friend. My parents actually referred me to them. And like, I also told them, hey, you should sell January, February, like height of the market. And then they come around like probably May or June, like months down later. They're like, okay, like I think we want to sell. Jay and I sit down with them and they just didn't want to end up doing anything. They just, which is okay, but at the same time, they wanted a specific number in their head. And we were just trying to tell them, like, hey, you're not going to get that if you don't change XYZ. Fast forward, we didn't get the listing. They actually didn't end up selling at all. And like,
Whatever happened to that property? Are they still living there?
so I think they just rented it out, but they
To
still
their
have to
son
pay
or something?
taxes. Yeah, but they have to pay taxes on it. They have to pay a mortgage on it, and like they're kind of their story was they're retiring soon or they're already at that age, but they don't really have like family, so they never had kids to kind of like inherit anything. So their thought was like, okay, we'll just keep it like whatever, or we sell it and we just like travel the world, which yeah, like I wish them the best. If they want to come back and like for us to sell it, cool. But this just goes to show a lot of real estate, a lot of the parts for selling, buying, investing. It's all about a person's mindset.
100%. Yeah.
Mindset. So should we end this?
All right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys had some tidbits and good information from this little conversation.
Yep.
This little pod, this little 2 agents in a pod thing that we created. So
Yeah, until the next episode.
if there's anything that you guys want us to talk about, comment below and let us know.
Comment below. We'll keep doing this because it's nice to vent about our job sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
and now
nice.
we're just recording it and sharing it with the world. So, real estate uncensored.
We already have these calls organically, and we're just like, we should just talk about, like, we should just hash it out for everybody to see, because we do, as the two of us have like some kind of experience, I think it's important for people to realize not all real estate agents are horrible. Some of us care.
Yeah. Some of us care too much.
Yeah, some of us care too much.
Maybe that bites us in the butt every once in a while, and sometimes you just gotta like hold your guns too, as just a human being, and be like, enough is enough. Like, gotta cut that shit.
I mean, you're not a real estate agent unless you fired a client. Like that is written somewhere. I don't know where, but congratulations.
You know what? I felt relieved despite all that. Yeah. After I didn't have to deal with them anymore. It was bad. It was that bad.
Yeah. I had
even the money from the transaction that I would have gotten, like, it didn't matter to me. As long as I didn't have to deal with them anymore, honestly, like, all the money in the world, I would have been like, that's okay. Yeah. I don't have to deal with you anymore. Thanks.
Yeah. We don't only open doors, guys. We do so much more.
We don't just open doors, we close them too.
Oh yeah, we close them. That's a good one. All right, bye.
Peace.